Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Guys, we're back. And today is a big day with the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. As many of you guys know, sweet and wonderful Cami Monet is due to have her baby in February. And she literally just found out this morning, like, I don't even know yet, guys. Just found out the gender of the baby. And she was like, I'm not telling you until we hit record. So that's where we are right now. We'll get to the episode in just a second.
Yeah.
But we got life things first, okay?
We have life things first. Okay, first, I just texted you some pictures of the baby from the ultrasound. So you can see their cute little nose. Little noses. Oh God, guys, if I cry in this episode, it's gonna be. I am a disaster today. Look, they're sucking their thumb.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so the grand reveal.
Oh my goodness.
Is it a boy or is it a girl? Elizabeth guessed girl, right?
I guessed girl. I saw a lot of people commenting boy on Cami's post. So I was like, I'm going to go contrarian and say girl. Even though I didn't really have like any, I don't know. I didn't have any hardcore leaning either way because baby Miller is just going to be the gosh darn cutest no matter what. So,
well, it's a girl.
Yes.
I thought it was a boy this whole time. So I was like actually shocked when Alex told me.
Oh my gosh. Why did you think the whole time?
I felt like it was a boy. I don't know why. I just felt like it was a boy. And then everyone, like, based on what I was craving, was like, it's going to be a boy. It's going to be a boy. And Juliana Mary, she was like, I have never been wrong about guessing gender. And, you know, she's like, so let's talk about what you're craving. So I like had like some serious conversation with her. And she's like, tricky, but it's going to be a boy. And I was like, okay, she's never been wrong in like 10 years. And well,
yeah. Wait, what if this is one of those crazy things though? Like where you have the baby and it actually is a boy?
That happened to my friend. Actually, they thought it was going to be a boy, but it ended up being a girl. So.
Yeah, there was that like really famous girl, someone from reality TV that also happened to.
Yeah. I think they got a nice solid view. The baby, she was moving everywhere. Okay, first of all, I gotta tell you this because this is the cutest thing. She's sitting there. She has her feet crossed at the ankles like this. So in the ultrasound, I can see her little feet crossed at the ankles like a lady. This isn't a girl. This is a lady. Okay. And she's sucking her thumb, just like having a great time in there. And I'm like, oh. She was like waving. Stuff.
How big is she right now?
So she's 9 ounces, and then I forgot to look how long, but like literally like the length of my belly because like her head was like here on me.
Okay.
So pretty big. Like, I mean, it was like bigger than what I thought. Like, I was.
You don't have the app that tells you like it's a
app.
mango, it's a pineapple. Like,
yeah, I thought you wanted actual measurements, but I can give you a fruit. Yeah,
I want the fruit. Yeah, what fruit size is the baby?
A mango. Yeah, a mango.
Look at me! I even tossed that one up there. Wow.
Yes. So, yes.
Okay, so that's like. Not all the way across.
Yeah, not all the way across, but like they were, well, the way they like were stretched out, like, you know, it was weird.
Yeah,
her head was like way down here, and then her feet were up here. So
she's right because she's not all like curled up anymore. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So.
And Cami was like, we sat down and she was like, I thought that I'd be able to go to this appointment today and like come back and be cool as a cucumber. And I am not cool. I cannot focus. Not chill.
I have no idea what we're even talking about. I don't even know what's going on, y'all. I mean, it's going to be these episodes. The next 3 episodes. Well, I don't know if they're all in a row. But
yeah, all the episodes we're recording and things only continue to get crazier in our world. And other fun thing too is that Mock-Up Madness is happening this week. So if you're listening to this episode now, you gotta go to bizbirthdaybash.com and click on our resources on the drop-down menu and go to Mock-Up Madness. If you haven't signed up, it is not too late to join in on the free trainings for the other like 4 days of the week. You would have only missed a day.
You only missed one day. So you're good to go. So go sign up today.
Go sign up.
Of the things. So the videos. I don't even see, guys. I don't even know who I am right now.
I know. It's so cute. It's so cute. Because you're like glowing. It's so cute.
I'm just so excited right now. I'm just about to go buy so many things. I'm about to spend so much money on stuff because I'm just so excited.
Yes.
Now I can add something more than green to my registry, Elizabeth. Like everything is going to be green, even though I love green.
You love green, and your mother-in-law will be so happy.
I haven't told her yet.
Now she can, you haven't told her yet, but she'll be able to plan the baby shower because the biggest hang up this whole time has been the gender.
Yeah, she cannot move forward, even though I'm like, we're doing green. She has to know the
woodland animals. That's what I was like. Woodland animals. It's Cammie. Like any baby could have some woodland animals, but
yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's very exciting. Wait, so obviously Alex knows. Who else knows right now?
Actually, a lot of people know, but we're just waiting to tell, like, all of our friends know, and my parents, or we want to tell them in person because obviously we can because they live here. So we're just gonna like try to go over there today, like after this, and tell them something.
So you just kept me by suspense and waited until we were talking. I get
it. Yep, pretty much.
That's okay. I'd rather find out on the podcast.
I was like, this will be good content for the podcast.
Good content. Well, content. That's what I was kind of starting to like say that earlier about the fact that like things have been so crazy lately that we're trying to be better about hammering our episodes out in like 30 to 40 minutes, even though we know that's like freaking impossible for us.
Yeah.
We're trying to like get them done in a good amount of time. So I guess without further ado, Cammie, we should try to get started on this one. It may be hard. The brain is everywhere.
Try to focus so hard right now. Oh my gosh.
That's okay.
She's just in there chilling. Okay. Okay. So
I mean, if you want, I can like go ahead and like introduce, and then you can like pipe in, or you can.
Yeah, well, this episode's more like an intervention, you guys, a little tough love chit-chat, if you will. So it's kind of good that we started off on a little lighthearted note so you guys aren't like, wow, they're super mean. But really, it's just something that's kind of been on our minds recently. You know, we're like, we need to just have a little tough love chat with people about just how to really think creatively, think outside the box, and how you're going to be a successful business owner in the long run, because we just see these things happening and it's not like there's any one person or anything. We just like see these in the industry and we're like, oh my God, we wish we could tell everyone. And we're like, well, you know what? We have a podcast and we can. So just a little tough love for you guys. So hopefully this will just kick your booty in gear on some things on how to think outside the box when it comes to creating your products and all those things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And this isn't so much of a like copying versus inspiration episode because we've done that before.
Right.
This is more kind of like how to think on your own 2 feet and be a good problem solver, like pep talk situation. Because like Cammie says, it reflects things that we've seen in the industry as a whole. It reflects things that we have seen play out in our A to Z directory group, which like that group is literally like family to us though. Like it literally could do no wrong. But it's like when you do notice certain patterns, it's kind of like interesting, right? And so why not chat about it a little bit? This is not a lecture, by the way. It's not supposed to be like a lecture, but we were joking. We're like, it's just a little bit of an intervention that will hopefully help people down the road and down the line think more, I don't know. Think more creatively, I guess.
Just think more, basically. Like not even an adjective to describe that. Or is it an adverb? I can't even think. But see, I can't think. But just to think more. So, I mean, a lot of people think that, you know, when you make products, like you just go to the printer and you get that product made and then you put your logo on it and that's the end of the day. But it is truly not that simple. Like, I think everyone is like, oh, we can just, what printer did you use for that? And you're like, well, I actually used like 5, or this all came together with a lot of different resources and processes than just clicking order on a button on a website and get coming to my door. And that's like kind of like where I guess we can kind of get started with things.
Yep. Let's get started with the very first bullet point that I wrote down this morning.
A bullet point.
A bullet point, y'all. That getting products created is not a one-stop shop. So I think this is like the biggest pattern that we keep seeing over and over and over, where people are asking, like, what I really think of off the top of my head is planners and journals and notebooks. Like, those come up a lot. Like, where can I get a planner printed? And I'm like, well, there's a lot of aspects to a planner, and there's like not really one person who might manufacture all of them, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Things like planners that have a lot of moving parts because they're like, I want gold foil on every 5th page, and I want there to be binder tabs, and I want there to be a pencil pocket. And that is truly not something, I mean, you're just not going to be able to get that from a printer, like from just like one person. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. I mean, you might have to work with like an actual manufacturer and overseas and order like 10,000 of them. Or you might have to kind of do the build it yourself method of getting the pages printed somewhere else, getting them, I don't even know what the word for like getting the
binding almost, or like the coils,
or like I was thinking of like the holes in it, but yeah, the holes and then the binding and then like the cover, and then maybe you have to get the pocket printed separately or like created separately from a whole other print shop, and then all that process is happening in-house to bring those things together. And that's just like one example of no one-stop shop for anything. And I think stationers, like wedding stationers, understand this really well because we're just used to working with a lot of different vendors. But when it comes to products, it is harder to think, like, because you're doing it on such a more massive scale. Like wedding invitations, like the most you would probably be doing is like 500 invitations, with products, it's like you have to be able to replicate it more than 500 times, hopefully. So it gets a little tricky. So you're trying to like simplify that process as much as possible. So of course you want a nice, easy one-stop shop, but unfortunately it's just not the case.
Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that, or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys, seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best. You guys, everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and is full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group.
And another thing that's been kind of interesting too is I'm trying to think of it, it's like almost the psychology principle of like sometimes what you see isn't what you think it is. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So like with certain products that Cami creates that people want to know, where did you print your placemats? I can't find a placemat vendor. Well, that might not actually be like a placemat vendor, you guys. Like Cami might have like gone outside of the box to like look at all her different options of like how could she print something in a certain way that's big enough to be like placemat sized, but it's like not a custom placemat vendor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like what I'm
so
saying?
like sometimes if you're searching for something, like this is like one of my bullet points is about how can you creatively spin something to be a new product. So if you're like looking at something, you're like, oh, that could be this. It's not going to be like, I didn't just like Google like placemat printers because that's completely different than the product I was actually trying to create. Like I was like, how can I do this where it's reusable? And then like you start become like thinking of the different benefits of the product and ways you can just like make it your own, which is what makes it so fun and so exciting. And, it's really hard to find vendors. It is incredibly hard to find vendors. And, that's why we created the A to Z directory, because we both do a ton of work finding vendors and we share them right there with you. But like one of my vendors that I worked with for getting table runners made, which is something that like didn't really exist in the US, besides getting them printed in China, and they're basically wrapping paper rolls. And I wanted to work with a US based vendor, and I literally called probably 40 different print companies and print shops, talked to them, got samples, thought outside the box on working with contractors. They print on these like long sheets of paper, so trying to work with them, but there was so many. Like, it seems like it's going to be something so simple, but I literally worked so hard to find a printer who would do that. Even then, they have to change the machinery around to, like, make it work for me. And, like, I just happened to find someone who was willing to make it work. And even my specifications on what I wanted it, like, wouldn't work with the machinery. So I had to, like, give and take a little bit on that. And I was like, well, this is the packaging size. It just has to be under this because this is what I want to package it in. Which is another thing, too, like, packaging-wise. Instead of like that's an example of, I feel like I'm just like tooting my own horn right now, but where I knew I wanted it to be packaged in a box and not in a shrink wrap sleeve for my sanity. And so, I was like, okay, well, this is the biggest box I can find. So this is like the best fit. So the product is going to have to fit into this. So it really, kind of that the packaging dictates the product more than the product dictates the packaging is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think there's a huge element to reverse engineering some of those things and knowing what you have to work with, which is why the research aspect of it is so important. And Cami and I are here to make your lives easier. Like, that's the purpose of like the A to Z directory, to have a little bit of assistance. But when people aren't willing to look beyond just what is listed and think like outside the box, that's where we run into a few problems with trying to help people think of a process or a way that they could divide the product into steps. Like, same with Cami's party pennants. Like, there's not a printer that like prints and manufactures and creates Cami's party pennants and like poops them out perfectly. Like, Cami literally had to like engineer every aspect of that product to create what she wanted that product to be. And she's done that with her placemats. She's done that with her party punchies, with your table runners. Like, I could go on and on just to like praise Cami on how like her ingenuity, basically. And yes, we're like not here to toot our own horns, but it is hard because that is a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing to teach, but I think at least telling people to have some sort of like self-awareness around that is helpful, to point out the fact of like, you can't just hit an easy button and have it there exactly how you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I really think like that's one of my biggest tips, or like things that I see where people who are wanting to start like a product-based business kind of go wrong is like a strong word, but then they'll be like, I made this thing, but I can't find this packaging to fit it. And I'm like, oh, if you can't find it, like you're probably have to get it custom made, or it doesn't exist, or it's going to, be a lot of money up front to get that custom made as well. So it's like, it's just easier to like figure out the packaging and then be like, well, I'm gonna have to shave off an inch on this, or I'm gonna actually have to make these not as thick or whatever. So you can just like make it work for yourself. And so if I could tell y'all anything, it would be to look at packaging before you like produce the product, because I feel like that was something that took me a minute to figure out. And then once I kind of reverse engineered that, it helped so much. And it just like gives you creative ideas on how you want the product to look at the very end. I mean, we've done an episode just on packaging alone, but that has been like a huge part of my business growth, I think. It's just that I always get compliments and comments from retailers on my packaging and how cute everything looks and how it looks good, like sitting on a shelf, all that good stuff, and it's pretty well protected. And those things really do matter. They matter almost as much as the product.
Yeah, almost as much as the product, for sure. I mean, it's equal parts packaging and product, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like when I was thinking about manufacturing all the wax seals on my own, which I like never did, a huge aspect of my planning was the product box itself. Like, what's the design going to be like? What dimensions is it going to have to be? How many of these like custom boxes will I have to produce for it to make financial sense? Like, it would have been really silly for me to order a zillion wax seals and wax sticks without any plan of like what I was going to put them in.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Like that's where all that math comes in, and it's not fun, but you got to do it. You got to do it, because then you're like, oh shoot, you don't want to have to like make the product and then you order all the stuff thinking it's going to fit, and you're like, oh wait, like this doesn't even work. Like, oh, that's like the worst feeling. I've definitely had that happen.
I've ordered packaging before that's been like the wrong size. I wanted a box of A7 cards. Mm-hmm. I did not order the right size packaging for that, and that was the most like frustrating thing ever. And I was like, whatever.
Like, for my party cups, how they're like in little sets of 8 and they're in that little sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I thought I found like the perfect sleeve, and I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. And then when I got it, it was like, because it's hard to tell depth wise. And I was like, it's too short for like to make it easy to like tie up. And I was like, it's just too freaking short. So I had to like completely change that. I mean, I ordered so many different things to test with that. And like I was ordering like bread bags and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let's figure it out. And I figured out something that worked, but I still have to do a little modification to it. I give it a little haircut at the end because it's like way longer than what I want it to be. But it's really easy to tie it up, which is, half the battle right there, to like put the little stuff on it. But that was just like one example where I was like, I'm sure they have bags for this. That was stupid. I should have like checked first. But I literally ordered, because I didn't know when my cups were going to be in. I like ordered ones on Amazon that were just like 10 blank 16-ounce cups, which were just like similar to ones I was doing to like measure them and test it. But I was like waiting for stuff to get in. I had stuff coming from everywhere. So I was able to figure it out before I got the cups. But
see, and that's another thing that people, I think, forget, that hands-on testing aspect. Like when you don't need the actual product to do that. So that was like really smart of you to go to Amazon. And I think we've run into similar things before when people ask like, how is such and such thing from this printer printed? How do I lay it out? Like what side do I print something on? And my advice is always take a piece of paper, cut it out, fold it, like make your own little version of this, like a Z-fold or a tri-fold, or even like a program. Like I did that with my brother's wedding program just to make sure that when I was submitting the file, I was submitting it correctly, right? Like I wrote what was on each side so I could like flip it over and see how the file needed to be laid out. I mean, like you got to be so hands-on in every single way to produce like really successful and like really unique products. And any product that I think of like specifically for Cami, like stuff has probably come from 4 different places, right? So like party pennants, like the printing at one place, the ribbons from another place, the dowel rod from one place, the backer and the like the sleeve
the
from a
backer and the
different
sleeves,
place.
and the inserts, like the packing inserts from a different place. I think there's actually like 8 places party pennant stuff. Because the ribbon, like the sparkly stuff, comes from 2 different places as well. So we got one sparkly.
Oh my gosh.
So with sparkle fluff, that's the sparkle fluff, the wire garland, the ribbons, the dowel, the printed pennant itself, getting that die cut somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then what do we say? The backer, the bag, and the insert. That's 9 things.
Yep.
And if you want to count like the glue, because that comes from somewhere else too. So there's 10 things. 10 different sources to make that one product.
Yep. A product that she's like selling over and over and over and over. And there's a bunch of them. So then there's like assembly involved and all these things, but it's all about being creative. Like you built something from scratch. Like it was just so cool.
I know. I hate those and I love them so much. They're so oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but I wasn't like I had the idea like, oh, I want to make a party pennant flag thing or whatever, and then found a printer to make that. Like I was literally putting pieces together, and I want you guys to think like that too. Like, how can I put pieces together? Like, as a lot of time, that's what being a creative product maker is. It's just like looking at things and seeing a problem, how you can bring it together instead of being like, what printer makes your party pennant? Like, I'd be like, I make the party pennant. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, it's my brain power that did that. And so I want you guys to have that same kind of mentality that there really isn't just one place where you can just click a button and order it. Yep. I wish there was.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too that we kind of should circle back to is the idea of that just because you don't see something on someone's website doesn't mean they don't do it.
Yes.
So for example, like you calling around over and over and over to like 40 different companies to get this idea out of your head for these table runners, right? Which like I haven't seen anything else like this in the industry done before. And it's like that printer would not have been listed under like table runners in the directory. Cami would have like called a million printers, potentially some we already knew, potentially some like we didn't know and had never heard of before. Like, I think the guy you ended up with, like, we had never heard of before.
And obviously, I just knew they were able to do, like, rolls of paper. And I was like, well, listen, I don't want it 3 feet wide, though. I want it this wide. And they were like, oh, well, here's the thing. And he's like, let me just run some test things. And, like, I got test stuff from, I think, 3 or 4 different places. I went places in person and kind of like explained my idea, and they're gonna look at you like they're crazy. And for some reason, every printer is named Kevin too. I don't know what the deal is, but it's either Kevin, Mike, or Steve. I swear that's the only printer names. I was like, why is everyone named Kevin? There's like a print shop across the street here, and I went in, and the guy's name, one of them was Kevin, and one of them was Mike, and I was like, are you kidding me? So it's really nice to just be able to like talk to the printers, because we've talked about this on, I think, a Finding Vendors podcast episode about how like it's not a very clear process when you're ordering from a print shop. Like they don't even know the capabilities they have sometimes, because you're the one generating the idea, and they're like, oh yeah, we could probably do that. Like they're not just like, oh yes, we offer table runners. Like, you know, they're just the labor of it, and not so much the creative thought process behind it. You know what I mean?
They're the production element of like, yeah, we can make this possible, or we can do this for you.
Yeah.
Or
so if you're like, I have this crazy idea, can you do this? And like, sometimes you just got to reach out and ask them those things, because most of the time it isn't even going to be on their website. So, and most of the time it's not an easy ordering process either. So that's another huge thing. So just because it's not on their offerings, it doesn't mean that you can't get it made. It just means you might need to do a little deeper digging. And I think that's another thing we'd love to like instill in you guys is like, in the directory list, we give you literally like hundreds of different resources where you can get anything made. I mean, really, truly anything. And like, if you don't see something on there, but you see a printer who does die cutting, but you're like, I want this specific way, like call them, ask them what they can do, send them over a file, see if they'll do a test run for you. Like you got to put that extra step in to kind of do that little deeper digging to make the magic happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the phone calls are a really big aspect of that. When certain questions come up about things, and in my head, I'm like, the best person who's equipped to answer this is probably a printing company, right? Like somebody who can assist you like way better than we can, because we don't know the certain specifications or what you're looking for, at least when it comes to producing something. Cami and I are always going to have really good insight. Like, I love it when people link their listings and they're like, what can I do better to attract more people? Like, it's really easy for us to give solid advice on things like that from our own experience. But when you're creating something like unique to you, you have this idea, like sometimes you got to be able to run with that and be willing to be confident and come out of your shell a bit, you know, to like be like Cami and look like a crazy person and take a roll of paper and be like, this, it needs to be like this, and it needs to be this wide. Like, you gotta like risk looking dumb sometimes, I think. Like, it's
I love
the truth.
looking dumb. I do it all the time. Yeah, because like I bet you too, like there are so many just random giant print shops in your town, and you're like, oh, okay, they do like graphics, whatever. Like it's probably called like random, it's just called like, I don't even know, just like something graphics usually. And if you go in there and talk to them, they're going to be like all kinds of cool stuff they can do. Like there's actually 2 print shops next to me, Elizabeth. There's like that little one, and then there's a huge one that does all kinds of stuff, and it's a massive building. So one of these days I'm going to walk over there and talk to them, because I know they do a ton of like promotional stuff too, which is like another thing to think outside the box on. Is like, how can you take this product that looks stupid on this website but turn it into something cool, you know?
Yes, for sure. Mm-hmm. All of like the product listings, a lot of times like the photos are so bad, or they have like some sort of like corporate logo, or like something that just isn't, it's not going to like draw us.
Right. And you're like, okay, whatever. And they don't look all like cute and hipstery where you're like, oh, I want to order from this cute site because that looks like the places where your favorite product makers are getting stuff made are not where you are, not like some cute little mom and pop print shop. I guarantee you. Like, they're going to be like very corporate-y looking. And so don't be afraid of these places like that. And, you know, just spend some time. Like all of our printers that we list in the directory, click through them, like go through their websites, find stuff that you might not even like be thinking about looking for. Like sometimes I'll just go browse and be like, I'm just going to see what's going on, because you never know what kind of ideas will pop up and be like, I could take this thing from over here and pair it with this thing. And now it's my whatever calendar or whatever, you know, like come up with stuff like that. And it's a great way to just like get those wheels turning and come up with things that are like creatively you, like uniquely you, where you're not just like choosing something that's exactly like what everyone else is making. And I think that's like what helped grow my business a ton, is just, I mean, the party pennants were huge for me because it was a differentiating product, you know, and no one was doing them wholesale. No one could figure out how to do them in a way like scalable, I guess, which we're still trying to figure that out, but in a really scalable way. So there was no one doing those wholesale. And so I kind of like cornered the market on that one, which was really cool.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say something too. Like, I feel like calendars, that's another one that people are like, where can I print calendars? Calendars, you can get so creative with to do those in a bunch of different ways that do not require going to a printer that produces quote unquote calendars. Like most of the ones I've seen that have been done really well by other creatives, like I know for a fact, looking at it, I'm like, they didn't go to a quote unquote calendar printer to produce this, you know, they got creative, like with how they set the files up and how they present the calendar and how they package it. And it's a whole thing that's like unique to them and their business.
Yeah. And this is like another thing too, is people will be like, oh, what is this? Like, what's the size of a calendar? Like what size should I make the calendar? Or like, what size should I make the notepad? How many lines go on a notepad? And I'm like, I just want to tell you that there is literally no right answer to this. Like, you get to pick. Because sometimes I think people think that they're like going to have a test where people are like, you did that notepad the wrong size. And so it's not going to sell because it's a different size. But if you're like, no, I'm going to make my notepads like double the size and call it the stack or whatever, like then that's like a cool differentiating factor. It doesn't have to be the same size or dimensions or depth or anything as anybody else's. So like you can look at what people are doing, but don't feel like you have to do those exact same measurements as well.
Yeah, I'm trying not to like ugly cry because it's so it's just so true. Like we want you all to feel like equipped and confident to step out there and take a little risk, and don't do everything to size or the way that everyone else is doing it. Like, don't count somebody else's notepad lines and be like, oh, this must be the right way. Like, I have to do this many, like I would recommend like designing it at home, whatever design you're creating it, and then print it to size and cut it out and look at it and write on it and be like, do I like this? Let me ask my husband if he likes this. Let me ask my best friend or my mom or whoever, like what line spacing they prefer, right? There's so many ways to like test a product. There's no right answer. And I think that's like the biggest theme of this whole episode, right? This like intervention, if you will.
Yeah.
There is not a right answer. There are a million paths for just about like everything you want to do and create and produce. Like if you want to die cut things or do stickers, people use like Cricuts or Silhouettes or like whatever. They go to companies that produce it. Like there's so many avenues to pursue for anything you want to create. You can't like let yourself get locked in, so locked in on one of them that you're freezing yourself basically.
Yeah. And I understand this mentality because I would be like, I'm starting off, I would be like, oh, well, their notepads are like this size. So I guess that's like the way I should do my notepads. And now I'm like, I don't even care. Well, I'm going to do like whatever the design lens or like however I decide to creatively come up with this notepad or whatever it is, and be like, oh, maybe I'll do it like really small. And that's like the novelty of it, like that kind of thing, So it does feel like weird stepping out on your own, but I promise you, like that is going to be huge for you. Like you want to stand out in your business, you want to like stand out from a sea of competition, like think on your own 2 feet and don't worry about industry standard, quote unquote, because there is no like industry standard for things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's industry standards for things like how much people tend to charge for greeting cards, right?
Right.
Like I can't go out there and be like, my greeting cards are $12.50, and Cammy's are $5. Like that didn't make much sense. But it's like my greeting cards can be, maybe they're a different card stock or they're slightly different size, or like maybe they open a different way. Maybe they have cutouts in them. I don't freaking know. Like there's so many fun ways between artwork and other things and paper types to do greeting cards or flat cards or whatever it may be. I mean, it should be exciting. Like it should be exciting to you that like the world is open of like possibility. Like don't let yourself be scared by trying to do it quote unquote right.
Yes.
They'll just get hung up all day long.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's something else too. People will ask me like, what size bags or packaging did you use for this product? And I'm like, well, your product might not fit in this same size. Like, how many are you doing in a stack? Like gift tags, for instance, like I need to fit in ribbon. Are you putting in ribbon? Like what I do for mine might not necessarily work for yours. So just like think about that before I just give you, like, I can give you all the answers, but they're all the answers for my problems and not necessarily for your problems. So I'm happy to give you the answers. But again, don't think that like what I do is industry standard or what Elizabeth does is industry standard. If you're like, well, it's not going to work for me to do 8 gift tags in here or whatever, like I need to only do 4, then that's your thing. Like you can do that. And then you need to find packaging that works for that. So yeah, don't like think of everyone else has the answers and those answers will work for you, because that is something that I used to get hung up on. I'd be like, well, that's the way this person does it. It must be the only right way because they're successful or whatever. And it's just going to work better for you if you start thinking on these things on your own.
Yeah, totally. And like we are here to help, but we can only help you so far.
Yes.
That's like the problem, is that like we kind of said earlier that there is an aspect to this that can't be taught. There's an aspect to this that requires you to take initiative and requires you to step out and to I don't know, like question a lot of things on your own, go out on a limb a little bit.
Yeah, and that's why this is a little intervention, because it is a little tough lovey, Like, I don't want you guys to be like, oh, I can't ask them anything, because that's like not what this is. I just want to make sure you're asking the right questions and are going to like push you forward instead of just like, feeling like every time you get stuck, like the only thing you can do is just get an answer from somebody else instead of being like, let me troubleshoot this and figure out like why it's not working, and maybe I need to reconfigure like my packaging. Maybe that idea isn't going to work, because I have stuff all the time that doesn't work. Like there's something else I'm trying to put together packaging for right now and trying to figure out how to make it work. And I'm just like, I have no idea, but I think I got to figure it out. Like, so,
yeah,
and it just takes time. I probably spent like an hour just like playing around with this little thing, and it's not even like that important of a moneymaker, but I just want to do it. So.
It all comes with time, and it all comes with experience too. Like Cami said, she understands why people get in this mindset, because she used to think exactly the same way.
Sure.
Like I have to adhere to these guidelines, and then with like years in the industry, your eyes kind of become opened. And so we're just trying to give you that permission today. Yes. It doesn't matter where you are in your business journey. You have the permission now to do things how you want to do them without having to use another method that you saw online, thinking that that's the thing that you should do.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's like, you literally have, if you are an A to Z director, you have like the best foundation and information to work with. Like, you have it all there. You don't have to like spend your hours like Googling to find things, but you can just like click through vendors and like start the conversation from there. So you're like 2 steps up from everybody else already. So, but you still have to like take those other extra steps on your own. Yeah, there's just like nothing we can do to like just give you where you're like, oh, yep, now you've got this product, like you go make it. It's just like you have to take those next 2 steps. Like, it's like we picked you up off your feet and now you got to walk.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, guys, I think that kind of ends our thoughts for today, unless there's anything else you have, Cami?
I don't think so. I think that was
don't think so? Okay,
that was our intervention, and it's a girl.
It's a girl, you guys. Oh my gosh, it's a girl. And it's amazing. It's so freaking exciting. So I told Cami, she was like, we have to announce it on the podcast. And I was like, okay, well, this one's coming out next week. So you gotta be willing to be okay with like everyone hearing it. And she's like, okay, I'll just like make my you're like, I'll do my social announcement before or something.
It's not like it's a big secret or anything anyway. It's just fun. So I'm going to have to like make a reel, to get that hashtag engagement, obviously. So.
Oh my goodness. The reels. All right, guys. If you have loved listening, please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. We would absolutely love to hear from you. They really cheer us up when we get to read them and see what you've written. We used to like occasionally read some on episodes, and I don't even know. I think the pandemic kind of we kind of forgot like once COVID hit, to be honest. And then the other thing is that if you do have questions, because of course we are still open to questions, you can ask through Q and Cake on our website, and it's easiest to go to bizbirthdaybash.com/podcast and then click on the Q and Cake button that allows you to submit a question. But that is all we have for you guys today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye.